They'll be back single file, and so we'll have a little smoother run into the start. But it was interesting what Andre Ribeiro did. He really probably should have done almost the opposite.
Exactly. He accelerated down through turns 3 and 4, realized he was a long way ahead, backed off right at the time Fabi put his foot down, and of course Fabi got the slingshot. It looked good to the starter stand here, but of course Fabi had such a head of steam, he lost that place too, his outside front row starter.
Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
And if you're wondering how the rookie Ribeiro is handling the early pressure and the anxiety from starting for the pole for the first time, only one radio conversation that we've monitored coming back to the team, Steve Horn in company. He was simply saying the car at the moment is a little loose. It's got an understeer problem, but they think that as they get the tires to temperature and the pressure build up under green flag conditions, that will all stabilize. He seems to be as cool as can be at this point. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Hey, Gary, you ever wonder why during these pace laps the cars are weaving back and forth vigorously? The reason is they're trying to get what's called pickup off the tires. This is the other rubber that's come off other tires that deposits here on the tires. These are Scott Pruitt's tires. Now look at these. These have no pickup on them whatsoever because they're so concerned about it. They take a heat gun here, apply the heat to the tire, and then pick up here a putty knife, and a mechanic has to actually individually scrub all that pickup off each and individual tire on these. Now the drivers do it manually out there on the racetrack, but these guys all feel that pickup will be important today.
And we should see a green flag the next time they come by. Robbie Gordon obviously moved early to get into this third position and is charging for the front, and that's really going to be important in the points fight, because the further up he can get, the better off he's going to be, especially if Jacques Villeneuve can stay back. And just in that one move, Gordon actually, for the moment, moved into second place in the points battle. It'll be one more lap now until the green flag, as we take a look at the running order, of course under yellow, at the conclusion of lap 8.
And don't take your eyes off Robbie Gordon, because nobody likes to run on the outside line, on that bravery line, as much as Robbie Gordon. And he would try and pull one over Teo Fabi, knowing that Ribeiro probably will not make a challenge for that lead position or that second position.
Also, though, to take nothing away from Jacques Villeneuve, he moved up 2 positions on the start ahead of Raul Boesel and Emerson Fittipaldi. Pace comes back up. Teo Fabi brings him to the green. Veteran guy on the pole, veteran racer in the Indy cars. And we're back green once again. There's Robbie, comes up as close as he can on the start, now closes on Fabi. The two pull away from third place Ribeiro.
And you saw Gordon high on that outside line, but Fabi was very quick on the line he chose. Here's Gordon's favorite move here. Can he make it? No, he's too far behind.
Complete. The field strung out now. De Ferran comes in to make a move down underside Christian Fittipaldi.
Oh, that was an aggressive move, an unusual move. He almost had to avoid Christian Fittipaldi, who lost so much time himself, and Michael now challenges him down the inside.
Michael Andretti has Christian Fittipaldi on the inside going into 3. Now Michael chasing De Ferran. It's a battle for 6th place.
They use the brakes here. They ride the brakes and get back on as soon as you can. Let's do it again. As soon as he comes off, ride the brakes a little bit, set the man up, get over the new patch of ground, and then get on the power.
You mentioned it starting, Derek. Guys like Michael and his teammate Paul Tracy. Michael started 9th, is now 7th. Tracy started 14th, is now 9th.
A period where things settle down. The real racing starts when you begin to encounter traffic, and on a 1-mile oval it doesn't take long for the leading cars to get into traffic, and then you see the aggressive moves and the experienced people begin to come up towards the front.
Christian Fittipaldi is lined up just behind this man, Michael Andretti. Gary Gerald, you've been watching their team.
Checking with the crew for Christian Fittipaldi, making sure that there wasn't something really ill-handling. They say, no, it's just a case of a rookie driver here in this very busy mile oval, settling in, getting into a race rhythm. Also, a radio report that we picked up, heavy bottoming from one of the observers reported on the #1 car. That's Al Unser Jr. Remember the last time we had reports of heavy bottoming in Portland and what transpired?
Well,
It's still a matter of fact, it's an appeal. And by the way, for those of you that may wonder, it is in the appeal process now. There'll be 3 judges appointed to hear that issue over the run at Portland that eventually got Jimmy Vasser the win awarded to him. But our calculation of the points, where we suggested at starting that Jacques Villeneuve, as we watch him here, has to leave this track 45 points ahead of everybody else in order to be the champion here. That does take into account that hearing going either way.
Good pictures of Jacques here. He had hoped to get into the top 10 as soon as possible. Tony Sekeli, his engineer last night, made a lot of changes on this car. Villeneuve believed that on full tanks, which he ran this morning, full every time he ran, he thought he was equal to Robbie Gordon. So now he chases Brian Herta, who has actually been in his own bit of a struggle this weekend. Not quite the match of Jimmy Vasser, except for one session on Saturday.
And Jack, as we look back from Brian Herta's car, sits in a 1-point position. He is 12. Brian Herta is in 11th. Dale Fabi still the leader. Gordon second, Andre Ribeiro third. Then Scott Pruitt and Jimmy Vasser. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Paul, in regards to Jacques Villeneuve, he is receiving radio communications at the moment from Barry Green, his team owner, not on how close he is to the other competitors, but where the leader is. They're very concerned about keeping the leader in sight, making sure they don't go a lap down.
Of course, there's something that happens so very quick on a 1-mile oval. It's the front of the field already overhauling the back end of the field, despite the fact that they were so very close in qualifying, a second covering the first 20 positions here.
So Jacques does his bit in the cockpit, and Barry Green does his bit on monitoring what happens in the race. What a team this has turned out to be, Paul. I mean, a team makes a driver, and a driver makes a team. But they are an example of a team who have spent their budget very wisely and had so much success on basically having harmony and the right people in the right place.
One man has struggled throughout this weekend has been Stefan Johansson. Gary Gerald, those struggles continue?
Apparently that's the case, Paul. We understand that we know that they had to make a motor change after the warm-up session this morning. They only got a couple of laps in, and apparently they developed some kind of an oil leak. We anticipate that Tony Bettenhausen is going to bring him in. They may just park it for the day.
Jack going into turn 3 tries to make the inside move on Brian Herta, but fails to make the pass. The question would be, where does Jack have to play this whole thing? He's got 3 races, counting this one, left. Go for broke here, or just take it easy?
Absolutely not. But here he's a run on Brian Herta right here. Can he duck down the inside of turn 3? Yes, he does. Under brake, he makes it stick. Now he's only 1 place away from that top 10 that he wanted to be in before his first pit stop.
But I think some indication that he is being very careful. Let's go back up to the front of the field. Teo Fabi, number 33, as we watch Robbie Gordon and Andre Ribeiro. This is a battle for second place right behind the leader. Ribeiro now beginning to get up a full head of steam, and he moves inside of Gordon. So Ribeiro to second place, but look at Gordon, he comes right back.
As the race settles down here, 25 laps gone, Ribeiro begins to find his feet. He ran down Robbie Gordon, and here's Scott Pruitt down the inside of Gordon.
Pruitt in 4th place moves into the battle. Tries to get underneath Gordon. Look to the left there. That's Ribeiro just ahead.
That was Derek Walker saying, watch Pruitt. Oh, he goes outside him and pulls it off.
Ribeiro gets caught up with slower traffic. Ribeiro got caught up with Salazar and had to drop back in behind Robbie. But look at Scott Pruitt as he works way high on the outside. And Ribeiro comes to the inside again, and he's got him.
This is what's so great about the Magic Mile here in New Hampshire. As soon as you get into traffic, you have to begin to anticipate so far ahead, and that's why you see so many place changes like Robbie Gordon here and Andre Ribeiro.
Salazar, the green and white car on the inside, becoming a factor in this, but now he realizes these are the leaders stringing past. And as both Pruitt and Vasser and DeFerrin come past. They tend to talk to one another as we watch Scott Pruitt move to the inside of Gordon again. Slower traffic a factor. Drag racing down the backstretch. Pruitt gets in low. Gordon up on that high line that he loves. Whoa, he takes the bravery line and they stay side by side over to the front stretch.
You have to hold your breath. You have to hold your breath when you make moves like this, but wheel to wheel at 190 miles an hour down this front straight, you also have to have confidence in the man that you're racing at that speed. Paul Pruitt seems to be better on the tight line down the inside. There he goes again.
Boy, two cars, each seem to be matched for the line that they're driving, which means when they get back to the start-finish line, they're dead even again. Remember what Scott Pruitt said at starting about these bull rings, and remember what Derek Daly said about how they can be terrifying and fun.
10-4, hang in there, you're doing good.
Derek Walker, the car owner, talking to Robbie Gordon as we look back to the front of the field again. Andre Ribeiro beginning to close and trying to challenge on Teo Fabi. Again, slower traffic a factor. That's Carlos Guerrero just ahead. Teo holds the top position. Guerrero comes down under Herta. Look at Ribeiro as he comes to the inside.
Tighten your seatbelts here, boys. This is some of the best. Ribeiro went down the inside of turn 1 and got blocked. Had to back out of it. But this is as good as it gets as Brian Herta's in trouble.
Brian Herta very definitely slowing as his teammate Jimmy Vasser comes around.
He's on his way to the pits. You don't run that slow without having a major problem. But Ribeiro having a superb run here for Tasman.
Herta's dropped from 11th to 20th and, of course, just went a lap down. Back at the lead. There's Teo. And Ribeiro now beginning to roll up on him again. Lap or two, he should be right there. So Teo Fabi, the leader here. Andre Ribeiro in second. Pruitt third. Then Vasser, then DeFerrin. Michael Andretti is now up to sixth. At the New England 200, you're riding with Robbie Gordon, but when you take a look at that top six, you can see that Robbie Gordon is in trouble. He's been falling steadily backwards. Gary Gerald, any idea what the problem is?
Yeah, Derek Walker just indicated the car's extremely loose, and so that's what they're battling. They're hoping he can hang on until they get in the pit window for the first stop to make an adjustment. Same problem for Brian Herta. Paul Tracy, however, looks like a guy on the move, and he is really coming up through traffic. Now, with that yellow that we had in the first lap incident, I think we will not see pit stops if we stay green until the early 70 lap mark, maybe 72 to 75.
Paul Tracy has moved up into 7th position just behind his teammate as we watch him here, Michael Andretti. Little explanation of the pit window, the way we referred to it. At starting, we said lap 62 would be the pit window. That's in a perfect situation. A team can also figure the pit window from the finish backwards as well. And we've heard Derek Walker talking about maybe about lap 39 they might pit this car.
And the only reason Derek Walker would call him in earlier, if he loses so much time on the racetrack with a handling problem, he could take him in, try and fix it, and then send him back up. And look what's going on here.
3 wide into 1 as here is Michael caught up with a whole gaggle of traffic in front of him as he comes down inside of Jimmy Vasser, picks him off for 4th place.
And that's the use of traffic right there. Now he tries to go inside Pruitt. Look at that.
Pruitt loses it. And Pruitt catches the wall. He loses it just in front of Michael. Little oil fire at the back of the car.
Talk about being right there.
I see you. You all right?
Got hit up pretty good. Looks like I got hit from behind or something.